So here we have this VEVOR 3-door rattan accent cabinet. Now, full disclosure, this is a paid review, but the opinions in this video are my own. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to really quickly unbox and show you how to put this together, and then I'll give you a closer look at it. This is the box that came in. It's a pretty heavy box, and everything was packaged up pretty nicely with foam surrounding it and in between the different layers. And here's all those pieces laid out for you. There's quite a few pieces here. There's a bunch of these boards, and then some metal pieces for the frame, then a few hinges and a bunch of different hardware pieces to put it together, and then the instruction manual. All the pieces are numbered and pre-drilled. The hardware is also labeled, which will make this easier to put together. And to do that, we're going to take these two boards that are the vertical sideboards and screw in 3 pins on each one into the smaller holes. Then we're going to do exactly the same thing to this board here, which is the center vertical board. And this one's actually double-sided, so we're going to flip it over and screw in those pins on the other side as well. Then we're going to take the left side board that's labeled 3, which we just put pins into, line up this long skinny piece with those pins, and then put these locking pieces into the big holes and twist them to lock it down. And same thing with this pin on the back, put the long board in, and then twist in the lock to secure it together. Then flip that whole assembly upright and slide in the center board with the pins on both sides, lock it down, and now you can add the shorter pieces to the other side of it, using those same twist pieces to lock them on. Then slide in the other end board and again lock it in. Then carefully flip this thing over so it's oriented like this, then drop these 2 panels in with the cutouts in them. Then we're going to take this board here, which is for the top of the cabinet, then screw in a bunch of these pins as well as these L brackets, and then you're going to set it on top of here just like this, and you got to line up all of those pins with the holes in the vertical boards, which is a little bit tricky, but once you get it set in place, you can go in from the underside and put in a bunch of those twist lock pieces to secure it all together. Then flip it upside down so you can finish the bottom, drop in these flat backboard pieces, and then put 2 dowels into each of the vertical pieces. Then you can drop on this bottom panel just like this, make sure it's all lined up with those dowels, and then screw it in. Now you can assemble the metal base with these 4 pieces, and this just takes the 4 black machine screws. Then you can take the other black machine screws and screw it into the threaded inserts in the bottom board. Then this center support post takes the small wood screws, and then you can flip it back right side up, put in these pins for the shelves, and then put in the 2 shelves. Finally, we can put together these doors, and to do that, we're going to take the hinges and drop them into the pre-drilled holes, and then screw them all in. Each one takes 2 of the short screws. Then you can attach them to the cabinet, just line them up with the pre-drilled holes and screw them in. I found it easiest to put 1 screw into the top hinge, and then 1 screw into the bottom hinge, and then finish them off. And you're just going to do the same exact thing with all 3 of the doors. And once you do that, you can attach the handles. They just take a machine screw through the back side, and then the knob gets screwed on from the front. Unfortunately, the machine screws they come with are just a little bit too short. You can see they just barely stick out the front of the cabinet, so I had to get my own that were just about 1/8 of an inch longer, and those worked just fine. And then for the final step, we're going to take these little plastic triangle pieces and screw them into each of the corners on the back side of this cabinet. Alright, and there we go. I just finished putting it together. I think it looks really nice. It did take about an hour to put together, which is a little bit longer than I thought, but now that it's done, I think it looks really nice. The whole cabinet is made from MDF boards with this laminate top, and then the fronts of these drawers have this rattan design on them. It is just plastic though, it's not natural, but it still looks nice. And then the base is made of this square tube steel with, I believe, a powder coated finish on it. And there's also a leg in the center for extra support. Overall, it's really solid. There's barely any movement in it, and it says the top can support up to 50 pounds, and you can see it holds my weight just fine. The side with the double doors does bow down a little bit if I'm standing directly above it, and the door does catch, but with the max recommended weight of about 55 pounds, they open just fine. On the inside, there's a shelf in the middle, and then the bottom. The bottom is rated for 50 pounds, but as I showed before, it'll easily hold more than that. And then the center shelf is rated for 30 pounds, but it holds this weight just fine. And it's also adjustable. You can see there's these metal pins on either side and a few extra holes if you want to move it up and down. And there's quite a bit of space in here, plenty of room to use this as a TV console or an entryway table. And the side with the single door is exactly the same with the adjustable shelf. And the doors use these nice cabinet hinges. They're not soft close, but they're still pretty nice. Also, you can see behind the doors is another board, and that really helps stiffen up the top. And it also gives the doors something to close against, so it's nice and flush. That being said, there's no stopper on the bottom, so it does bow in just a little bit. Overall, this is a really nice cabinet. It has a nice natural look. It's also really solid and sturdy, and apart from the little bit of difficulty putting it together, I think this is a pretty cool cabinet.